And got all kinds of goodies and then a giant mess. So like any other day, you're going to spend cleaning up all the crap that's collected in the garage over the week so I can do maybe a little bit of car work. But I got some cool stuff, right? What is it? Maybe it's over here. It's got brake parts. So I got brake line, got the copper nickel stuff. Comes with a bunch of US style fittings, which don't work for the German cars. It's got a piece of threaded rod and bolts and pitman arm pullers, because there's a guy did a good write-up on how to modify these to press in your part with it. So one of them he offsets, and the other one he cuts the pieces off so that they match the edge of the bar. So maybe, hopefully we'll get these pressed on tonight as well. Got new gloves since one of mine tore for the blasting cabinet, so we'll get those installed, get the cabinet up and moving. So we can start blasting things off and painting them again. So really not a lot's been done since the arm got painted. Clean up some of this shit, move other things out of the way. Got the tile softer upstairs, got this bad boy. They once the cable frays and tangles and they become deemed unsafe, they go in the garbage. So I volunteered to take this one out to the dumpster. Yeah, no, a guy set it aside for me, because if anybody wants one when they do go, why let something go to waste and go to scrap when most of it's still good. So we won't look into that tonight because we won't need it for a long time, but someday when we have more free time, we'll just spool that out and see how much a good cable's still left, because there's a good chance we can just spool it way out and then recrimp our piece on, unless they sell, maybe they sell replacement cable for 50 bucks or 40 bucks. So we'll look into that. And then we also got an extra belt sander from my dad, so I went and borrowed his, and he's had this one sitting around. He says he doesn't remember whether it runs or not. He just knows he got a new one because something was wrong with this one like a decade ago. But these old Craftsmans are great. We should be able to take that apart, see what's wrong with it, get rid of some cardboard. I got another new bucket because you can never have enough buckets, and a big pile of chip brushes. So this bucket will be for doing the tile work. Yeah, what else? We gotta look for fuel. We need to look at the fuel tank at some point. And then I had a little treat. Why did these... wife's mother's in town. She wants to put these out there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe we'll have a fire tonight and get rid of some of this crap. So there's an 8mm protrusion, right? So yeah, we're about halfway there as far as it sticking out this side. So we'll just yeah, we'll keep at it a little bit at a time, come up and check it, make sure that it's right, and then repeat on the other side. There it is. So I'll pick this guy up, right? Brake proportioning valve. Of course, it doesn't have the same fittings. It doesn't use a bubble flare. It uses a different kind, but that's fine. We got more ends, so we can do that. But this guy will go up inside the car next to the handbrake. I ordered a hydraulic handbrake. We're not going to turn this thing into a drift car. That'd be kind of stupid. But we'll bring a brake line back, and where normally the cables for the e-brake would go. So we'll bring single line up here. We'll split it. Well, we won't split it, but we'll send it up inside. It'll go to the proportioning valve first, then the handbrake, and then back out. That way when we pull the handbrake, we get direct to the wheels and not through the proportioning valve. It won't hinder our hand pulling at all. And then I think to make it a parking brake, I'll need to put a line lock in, but I haven't bought one of those yet or really decided on it. I was just thinking it'd be nice, it'd be fun to have do burnouts. So yeah, so line will come back out, go up to here. I ordered, they're still on the way, all 6 of the rubber lines. We won't need 6, we'll only need 5, because from the beam to here we'll only need 1 now instead of 2. So that's fine. Maybe we'll use it somewhere else for some reason, I have no idea, or we'll just have a spare. Doesn't matter. I ordered 2, not thinking about it, and they're only a couple bucks. So, what else? Yeah, I got a bunch of the so they're 3/16 bubble flare, but they're metric threads for Volkswagen. So, what else? What other cool stuff? I can't think of anything. This place just needs a lot of pickup work. So we'll pick up some tools, clean up some crap, press in some bushings, clean up some more crap, sandblast some stuff. I don't know, we'll just wing it. Well, stuff's cleaned up. Yeah, well, cleaned up enough that we got space to work without going insane. It feels pretty good, and it happened pretty quickly too. So it wasn't nearly as awful as I thought it would be. But rear beam. So it looks like when they put this together, right? This guy, this edge points towards the front of the car, right? So it's going to go in this way, and it's going to point. It's going to be up. It's going to be perfectly up, and then this lip right here needs to stick 8 millimeters out. And then when the plates go on, looks like they install the plates on the beam and they put them 12 degrees. So when this plate, who cares which direction it is, but it's going to get mounted as if it's holding the thing up, but not all the way. It's going to be 12 degrees canted. So I got to figure there's a way we can do that. Well, we'll make something so that we know that it's at 12 degrees. So looks like 12 degrees with the beam hanging down. I wonder which side's up. Oh, up is going to be, brake stuff is going to go up, right? So those brackets I think are going to be on the top, not on the bottom. Yeah. Well, we know which way's up because this is where all the crap for the proportioning valve went, and the proportioning valve's here. So yeah. So these tabs, this is the top of the beam, this is up, and if it's going to hang down 12 degrees, then we need like that. So it needs to be 12 degrees this way, and that gives the proper preload on the bushing. And then there's some other junk when you install it about like prying on some shit. We'll deal with that when we actually put it to the car. So like I said, I'll look at the guy's write-up again before I do it, but pretty sure what he did is he cut one ear off on one of them, and then he cut 2 ears off on the other. Or maybe he didn't cut any off on this one. It was just pushed. I don't know. It does have to be cut. So it's going to cut an ear off so that it touches on that. No? Because that's going to touch. Like I said, we'll look it up because we want metal-to-metal contact. And it looks like he probably cut off this ear and then used the spacer on this one. He used a socket. There we go. Then you can see it better. So with this ear off, it'll touch the edge without messing with the rubber. And then spacer down, it'll be good. But the other side, on one side he cut both of the lips off. This seems like it would be a little wide. If we cut them all the way off, it might be a little wide. So we'll look at what he did, and then knowing that these might not be exactly the same, we'll modify them as we see fit. So I think we just need to cut them just enough that it can slide through here. Right, this thing needs to be able to come up inside it when we thread them together. Here's the pieces. So this one will go on the receiving side, and this has plenty of space to go in, so we can get our 8 millimeter protrusion. And then this side, the guy that I copied said 29 millimeter raise, but that's not the case for this bushing. I don't know if some of them are different or what. But that's about 17 millimeter to get it offset correctly and have it be, well, relatively straight. I mean, if you're off a couple degrees, it's going to be fine. So we're going to grease this puppy up. We'll get our threaded rod in there. Probably cut that down just so it's not sticking way out, since I got 3 feet of it. Then we'll press this thing on. I got some grease on it. We got everything in order. We just need to give it some tension and tighten it down. I think this will be a good enough angle. Right, just set it on my little cart. That and I can do whatever, it doesn't matter which way. This needs to be up and down, just like that, which means this needs to be up and down, like that. It's so much stuff to line up. Once it gets some tension on it, though, it's going to be easy. We'll be able to adjust it as we... Oops! Hey, buddy. There we go. That looks better. Yeah, there, guys, check out the tool I made. Like rip the thing in half. All right, let's get in there. I mean, it's gonna line itself, right? We're not gonna be able to twist it. We just want to make sure that we're as straight as we can be. That looks about right. So I think it does. I mean, it doesn't matter which one we try to turn both of them. Okay, here we are to combine impatience with ineptitude. Is that right? Yeah, it's tighter. All right, let's see how she goes. Anyway, so now we're at our 8 millimeters of protrusion, straight up and down. We did it up a little bit, but that's to be expected when we're not using the special tool that is probably not cheap. So I'll go ahead and knock out the other side. I don't think anybody's interested in watching it twice, so be back. Now both bushings are in place. We just need to decide how to do that 12 degrees to put the plates back on. So once those plates are on, we can jam the thing back on the car. It'd be nice to have we're gonna have the beam on the car tonight no matter what. So I think what I'll do is take a quick break, get some dinner, and decide, kind of think over some of the stuff I have laying around and how to do an angle. And I think it's gonna be something super simple, like I can cut a wedge out of wood that's 12 degrees and then just hang a plumb line or use a level, you know, because when it's sitting like this is up and down, right? Those end tubes are square. So something like that could be really simple. Kind of feel like a crazy person, right? Because they have this whole angle of bracket on axle, 12 degrees, 30 minutes plus 1 degree. I think it's probably supposed to be plus or minus 1 degree, right? Not plus 1 degree. If it was plus 1 degree, they'd just say 13 degrees, 30 minutes. So, it's 12.5 degrees plus or minus 1, I think. But it doesn't tell you to torque anything. It just tells you the angle of it. And then here, it has you shimmy stuff left and right. So there's a gap, and then to tighten it down, and then right here, the axle bushing must be pre-tensioned in the installation position. There's a thing in here. Oh, right here. Mounting bracket with support for brake pressure regulator. Do not loosen when removing rear axle. Well, we already did that. There's a spot right there. So these horizontal bolts, the ones that go through the bushings we just installed, tighten with axle beam in horizontal position. So 12 degrees or horizontal. Or is 12 degrees horizontal? I don't know. This is 12.5. I just cut it. And if I set it here, we're not horizontal, right? Because horizontal would be basically straight down the car. So I think, I don't know what to do. Panic, set on fire. Well, I'm looking at the book again, right? Where it shows you putting pry bars in and pushing until there's a little bit of a gap. Ooh, there's a little bit of a gap here. And it's like, well, there's kind of a gap now, but any movement, like that's not really show the picture, but it's just for our sake, right? Like it's moving the rubber with it. And if I go up here and try to like pull it up, like it moves with it. So I don't know, and I'm not really, like it's not, oh, right there I'm moving a little bit. I'm moving up the bolts, so I just don't know how much this really matters, right? So this is torqued into the car. This is hand tight. This is hand tight. So I guess maybe I need to loosen that a little bit. What's it do? Yeah, lets it wiggle around, but yeah, I think if we pry on that, we're going to do more harm than good. I think this side's in. This side, you know, is what it is. We're just going to torque her down and go. And well, when we do these, we'll adjust the beam such that it's horizontal, right? So it's like right there. That's pretty horizontal. Just gonna eyeball her. Here's the beam all torqued in. I feel good about it. It's got, you know, well, we need to, this is the side that was down the cardboard, so we're gonna wire wheel this edge that hadn't been finished yet, and we'll get pour 15 on that. We'll probably just go ahead and put some in these areas too, just for funsies. But looking down the car, right, looks pretty horizontal. And then it's, you know, the whole idea is that this is where it'll be sitting with the suspension on and the weight in the car, right? And then it makes this rubber bushing it's not messing with the rubber, it's not stretching the rubber when it's just sitting still. And then when your suspension does its thing, it goes back and forth, as opposed to, like, for example, lowering your car 2 inches, right? Like, should we pre-tension this up higher because it's going to sit lower? So this is stock, and then if you lowered your car 2 inches, 1, 2, you know, you got a bunch of strain on that bushing, right? So now you're going to wiggle here. You're always going to have a bunch of tension on that rubber, as opposed to it being in its natural state. So whether it really matters that much, I don't think so. But I think we're close enough to correct that it'll be fine. So it's exciting. Get the beam in. We'll have to figure out what to do with the rear suspension, because I don't trust these shocks, especially the way they had the fronts installed. Like, the fronts I can't really reuse. I could, just to push it around the driveway, but then I'll have to swap suspension out again. So we got some time, right? I've got parts to paint. I got to get these blasted, painted up, and put on. There's a whole list of stuff that we're going to whittle away at while finishing up the shower. So maybe we'll see how things go. Maybe I'll order suspension this week and just get it over with. Because I know if I buy the KWs, I'm going to be happy with them. They're only $1,000, right? Only $1,000, but they're going to fit. That any suspension that fits a Mark II will also fit a Mark III. They're identical. The only differences between the vehicles is that the front springs are slightly different for VR6 models than they are for 4-cylinder models. And if you're going with a coilover, you can just, like, it's not going to really matter that much. We're not going to the track. We don't need something perfect, but I do want something nice. So maybe I'll order those KWs. Maybe I won't. We'll look around. There's the other option is there was a set of coilovers that I like the looks of that were made in Germany and like $400 something, right? Kind of their version of Ricer Trash suspension, but they're TUV approved, so they can't be that bad, right? They can't put them on the cars there if they're not safe. So it might have the same effect. They'll keep the car low without being garbage, but it probably will be garbage. And I've had KWs before, and I know I like them, so I wonder. But anyway, I got a couple coats of clear coat on that ever since the electric parts cleaner disaster, the contact cleaner that hit it and melted all the paint off. So that clear coat, you know, I put new gold on and then 3 coats of clear coat. So that should it should put up with the elements a little better. Give it a little bit of thought just now, and the real answer, right, is that once the car is back together, you get it on the ground and you torque these with the car on the ground and the wheels on and all the weight on it. So what should happen is if put the car on the ground and this is tensioned, you know, a little bit here, and then you loosen that nut, the inner sleeve should go, it should pivot and line back up. So I guess if you want your bushings perfect and you're lowering your car or not putting a stock suspension on it or putting a bunch of weight in it, you would want to loosen those up on the ground, let it center itself under normal load, and then tighten them back down. That, to me, that would be better than the manual's directions, because the manual assumes you have stock everything, which we won't.